What we see, our viewers, is where Gabriela is preparing a nettle. The nettle has many benefits for our health. Did you know that the nettle also has very good protein and is a great food? Welcome to our program in front of the events of the field. Today again we meet Carlos Rivera, a person who has surprised us a lot with the natural theme. Because we love to have our health well, and thanks to the knowledge that Carlos wants to share with us, our health has the possibility to improve. Carlos, thank you for being with us again, and that is preparing their Gabriela. Thank you very much. A very special greeting to you and to all the viewers, Fagros followers of this program in front of the events of the countryside and the followers of El Porvenir natural product also. Well, as you say, we have many new things to show, many beautiful things. At this moment we have our partner, a very special friend of the soul, Gabriela Aristizabal. She is preparing a tincture of nettle. As you say, nettle. What does it mean to me? Nettle means food, nettle means woman. Nettle means a lot of special things. First of all, for example, nettle, as you were saying, has proteins, has vitamins, has minerals. Nettle is a very emmenagogue plant, that is to say, it balances hormonal cycles, cleans the blood, and everything that cleans the blood, as we have said in many occasions, cleans the liver and strengthens the bone and muscle system. In addition to the nettle has countless characteristics and properties. For example, serves to level triglycerides, cholesterol, serves for the thyroid, for the skin, as I said, for the blood, and for many other things. See that they can make pestos and some soups that you are amazed with that. The nettle is a very special plant. We see Gabriela who is cutting it. The herb is fresh. It can be done with fresh herb or dehydrated herb in the shade, that is to say well dried, dried in the shade. Today we are in waning, that is to say that we are in good time to pull up the plants, to cut them. The herb, as I say, is fresh. The nettle itself is a very powerful plant, a plant that has all this fluff. It is what with crazy is urticaria. It has formic acid. It is as if it were stung by about 100 ants or 1,000 ants at the same time. A plant that has all this fluff. It is what causes hives. It has formic acid. It is as if it were stung by 100 ants or 1,000 ants at the same time. Nettle is an important blood purifier, and for this reason it cleans the liver, cleans the blood, as I said, and strengthens the blood system. Bone and muscle. It serves to level triglycerides, it serves for the thyroid, it serves for cholesterol, to control cholesterol, to level it. It is a plant that is very good for the skin. It is a plant that is emmenagogue, that is to say it balances hormonal cycles. It also balances feminine cycles. It is a very emmenagogue plant. This means that it is a very friendly plant, very feminine. A plant that combined with all, that is to say it cleans the liver, cleans the kidneys. It is very powerful. Here the elaboration of the tincture is a simple thing too. We are going to take 2/3 of ingestible alcohol and 1/3 of distilled water from the same plant. We have the advantage that here we can take distilled water from the same plant, then the combination of these homeopathic extracts can be made with distilled water from the same plant. Now we are going to see how to add the alcohol. We are going to have both things. We are going to have the distilled water and we are going to have the alcohol, and we are going to measure the proportions to put it there in the vial. We are going to prepare approximately 4. Tell us more. It is also used to directly puncture the body. It stings a lot, as Carlos was telling you. It has formic acid, and it is as if you were stung by several ants. so it is used to hit yourself with it on areas with inflammation or wear to help the tissues to regenerate. Carlos, we have already seen the cut. Now what process Gabriela is doing? Well, initially we pour the distilled water. For me, one of the things that must be taken into account is to pour the distilled water first. Why? So that the plant is not in contact with the alcohol directly, because many times we have alcohols at 90, 80, 70%. We have to know exactly what that percentage of alcohol is. I like to work, because the plants are soft and delicate, to work with alcohol at 70%, the one they sell that is ingestible, but be careful, be very careful with the sources. Make sure they are reliable sources, very careful with the sources, that they are reliable sources and that they are products that are always reliable. So reliable plants, reliable alcohols, reliable vehicles, that is what we need. It is important. Another little thing, Glorita, and that is this, that the alcohol, as Gabriela is showing us at this moment, is above the plants. Yes. There we see how in the second part where we pour the alcohol it is above. Because if the plants are above the surface of the plants, then it is likely to give fungus. With that little needle that Gabriela has there you can show us, she sinks the rest so that the plants are below the level of the alcohol. We simply make sure, in 2 or 3 days she has almost taken out the pigments, she has started to take out a little of the power of the alcohol. We mark that this is the procedure that Gabriela is doing now. We mark with the date and in approximately 15 days it is ready. If we wait 20 days it is better. In order to include a little bit the topic of the tinctures, then we are going to strain it. We can shake it every day in the morning. Once a day. Every other day shake it. Then strain it and simply pack it. Always keep it in dark places, cool places. The same we can do for example with the cannabis and with other plants. Carlos, don't get ahead of me because I have just touched on a fundamental subject, cannabis. Right now we have a very great apogee of cannabis and I know that you are a person who has known a lot about the subject of cannabis, of the elaboration of cannabis, because today many people are confused. But that is a topic that we are going to leave after commercials because we are coming back to talk about many advances, many novelties and everything that you are changing, innovating for those people that we love the natural theme. Obviously be closer to us, because there are many surprises. Carlos, what do you think if we come back with that topic? Perfect. Of course, now we will talk about how a good cannabis tincture is made and how we can corroborate if it is a well-made cannabis extract. We'll get back to you on that. And thank you for continuing in tune with our program in front of the events of the field. Today we are with a topic that we are all passionate about, the natural, and who does not like to have beautiful hair, and sometimes we have problems that our hair falls out. And Carlos, I am a witness of the use of this rosemary shampoo, because I had a hair problem and I know that with this I could easily solve it. I know we were talking about a fundamental issue, new products, new releases. No, we needed something. So what did Carlos put to work all this year? Well, Gloria, we have several things and I would like to invite the followers of Porvenir and the TV Agro program to participate in these new things that we have. Because one of them was asking us for a compliment to the shampoo, as you said. And we have a new conditioner. This is a new conditioner made of rosemary water with an extract of lavender hydrolates or hydrosols, which is a very special plant for the hair, olive oil, and a 100% organic emulsifier, completely friendly with the planet. So we have finally achieved it. But then it's good news, because we have rosemary, we have lavender, and we have something fundamental that actually people don't want to use salt shampoos anymore, and I think you guys thought a lot about that. Exactly, it has no harmful components, neither for the ecosystem nor for us. That is to say, it has no salt, no chemical components. That has been our struggle and we are already achieving it. I know that this cream is good for respiratory problems. For example, in these changes, it rains, we all go out. All this obviously affects our health a little bit, and I know that you have worked very well for the respiratory system. Well, yes. First I will tell you the name of the plant is Vic, from a plant that an engineer named Vic discovered in Europe, if I am not mistaken, in England. And here we already have this plant. It is a kind of succulent, very similar to succulents. It has rosemary, mint, eucalyptus and Vic. So it is not only for respiratory conditions, but it is also for articular muscular pains, regeneration of cells and tissues. It has a consistency, if you will allow me this. Here we have a consistency, as we could see. We pour the essential oil. It is to have an essential oil, pour 1, 2 or 3 drops, because many times the essential oils cannot be used or ingested directly. But we have vehicles, that is what we call in herbalism. Let's say we call it vehicles. In this case the vehicle is this ointment, which is made as I said of 100% organic beeswax, 100% organic rosemary, eucalyptus, mint, but we can reinforce it with a few drops of this eucalyptus essential oil. For example, we put a few drops and we can use directly the essential oil, which before we could not use it directly on the skin. Then I already have this, has a good consistency, and you can use it, as I said, in muscular pains, joint pains. In short, generally people are suffering a lot from asthma, and generally children are getting used to using inhalers since they are very young. Having these natural creams and taking out all the power with this eucalyptus oil that we have here, can it help us to have a good respiratory system and not having to use those inhalers? Exactly, yes, it is an alternative. It even reminded me that I can also do it with oils. We have these macerated oils, so it can also be used like this, with olive oil, almond oil, with sesame oil. Pour a little bit, pour a few drops of the essential oil, and you can use it directly on the body. Said a viewer, man, I am in Bogota, but I obviously want to improve my hair. I obviously want to have a good respiratory system. I would also like to have a good nettle. Man, how can I do it? Because I know I go back and say it, you are bringing the digital with the natural. Let's say it is like an interactive app in which you can consult. This is going to be the first screen, the one we have here. You write above normally, as in all the pages, write natural products El Porvenir and our page will appear. This is the first screen you will have. In this screen you will have, who are we? Where do we come from? How are we located? And it will have 2 big sections. Very interesting. One of them is all the plants. At this moment, we have about 60 plants, 70 plants, where each one of them will be described. That is, if you want to consult the marjoram, you want to consult the basil, simply write the name of the plant or look at the directory. Click on the plant and there it will show you the main characteristics. The other component that our page has are the diseases, if you have any condition, because many times you have arthritis, for example, but you cannot read all 60, 70 plants, but you go directly to the disease, and you say, well, I have psoriasis, I have arthritis, I have liver problems, I have kidney problems. What do I do? You go to the disease index, type in the disease, or if you find it there, simply point to it with the mouse and you will see the general description of the disease, the plants that are beneficial for that type of disease, and what is it. We have products for her, which tinctures, which oils, and besides that you will have the possibility to put together your cart, to buy self-service. You yourself will be attended, you will consult yourself, what is the disease you have, what is the plant, what is the product we have related to it, what is the price, and listen, this is a big surprise, The price is going to be in Colombian pesos for Colombians, and in dollars for foreigners, to also take care of our little currency, to take care of the pockets of Colombians. You are going to be able to set it up and pay with any payment method, the same you use to pay for anything, by PSE, by financial entities here and abroad as well, emphasizing a little bit how the page is. You are going to have an element of consultation, if you simply want to consult. If you have your garden at home, if you have your plants at home, you do not always have to buy from us, and do not simply consult us. Consult what is marjoram for, what is chamomile for, or if you have any particular disease, you can also consult the type of disease. Any type of disease. We have more or less about 60, 70 diseases already described, classified, and directly related to the plants that we have here. Carlos, I have always made it very important to have that vademecum, that information at hand, but it is also very important to have the experience, that expertise that you are also having with the management of all these plants, because you say so, but as you have just said, dosage is very important, so there is a very colloquial theme, shoe to your shoes, and you are doing things very well. I have been recommending that. Why are we going to invent if I have you? Thank you very much, Gloria. Yes, and here this is already a family business since we all work. Well, we hope that customers can enjoy the benefit of plants, and that now they can approach much easier with our website and our kind of app that we have for them to learn about plants and consult. It is also an important consultation page. Health is something that is valuable to us, and health is priceless, and what more if we take care of it with the natural. Here we have it. You can approach this app, in it you have all the information. We are back with our program in front of the events of the field. We are back. Today we are back, and thank you for continuing in tune with our program Frente al Acontecer del Campo. Today we are with Carlos Rivera, a person who has always shared his knowledge with us. He is an architect by profession, but for many years he has been working on the subject of plants. We saw there Carlos and Gabriela doing an important process in the dyeing of cannabis, and I want to talk about this for those viewers. Because cannabis is in fashion, but in reality, do you know what cannabis you are buying? As cannabis is a flower, then you cannot pour alcohol is very heavy, let's say in the order of 60 to 65%, you can work the cannabis very well. That is the percentage of alcohol, or if we get an alcohol at 90%, we must reduce it with distilled water to reach 60 to 65, so that we can have a good dye. The procedure with the dye is very simple. It is very easy. We leave it for about 20 days, shaking it every day, every other day. Then we filter it and the tincture is ready. There are vehicles for one to ingest the cannabis products. What are those? They are the alcohol, right? The glycerins that include the glycerins that are used in these personal vaporizers and vaporizers of spaces. In short, they can also be made with honey. They can be made with oil. They can be made with vinegar, with wines, right? Even with water. But also to mix the cannabis with wines and that tincture if it is advisable. We can let it rest. That means maceration. The term maceration, in wine, of course yes. If the wine you drink it all the same day, well go and come then the party. But if you take a glass on an empty stomach every day, if you can achieve the benefit, there are medicinal wines. Carlos, but how do I know that obviously the tincture, the cannabis oil that I'm buying, that if it has what the label tells me, as a user how do I identify that? First, it is a little difficult. It is the sources. We have to be clear about who we are buying from. What is the origin of those plants? How is the management of those crops? If they are crops made with chemical inputs, we have to be careful or simply know the type of cannabis we are using. You know that there are two types of cannabis. There are some that are indicas and others that are sativas. For me there are some differences between the two. The indicas are more imported. The sativas are more from here. The cannabis indicas are more introspective cannabis, and the cannabis from here, that the cannabis sativa is more extrovertible. That is almost that it makes you look more to the outside. The other one makes you look more inward. it has the two components CBD, which are the medicinal cannabidiols, and THC, which is tetrahydrocannabinol, which are recreational. Now when the plant is left to mature, it is important that we know that, when the plant is left to mature, and you can also observe it, because in the plant itself, it has a higher percentage of CBD, which is medicinal, than of THC, which is psychoactive. How are these products that are being sold to us made, and how can we know if the product is good or not? They sell us packaging like this. If you allow me, Gabriella, a normal dropper, whatever it is, to show the viewers and the people, how can you find cannabis? This one, for example, is one that can be macerated, but this size. Let's say, sometimes you find some cannabis oils and they tell you this is a cannabis oil. No lies, what is an oil with cannabis, is different because the cannabis oils, the essential oils, are very expensive. They come obviously in tiny sizes like this. Then you take the tincture. What we did the procedure with the alcohol. Filter it well. After 15 to 20 days you take out the plant, filter it well and then boil the alcohol. At 70 to 75 degrees the alcohol boils, and we will have a resin at the end. That resin is what they mix with oils. That can be any oil, can be dangerous, because like the crystal oil that is not ingestible, that is, we have to be sure that those oils with which they mix those resins are vegetable oils, because if they are for external use they must have a molecular composition to be able to be used with the resins. Because if they are for external use they must have a molecular composition to be able to be ingested with the resin. Penetrate the 7 layers of the dermis. They must not have heavy elements. They must be reliable vegetable oils, and take into account, I repeat, that it is not a cannabis oil. It is an oil with cannabis. Cannabis oils are usually quite expensive and almost not found in the market, because they are quite difficult to extract. They are extracted by distillation. Or resins are bought. There are some that are cold pressed and that are mixed with other vehicles. There are many vehicles. Then there are the vehicles that are the ointments, the vehicles that are the oils, and the vehicles that we already talked about that are alcohols, that are vinegars, that are wines, etc. So be careful with that. Be careful with the origin, and above all with the knowledge. They have asked us a lot. They ask us, why don't you have oregano oil? We are used to believe that oils are from plants and they are not oils with. How about, if we make 2 specials to tell step by step all the news that you have been doing here, in this orchard? Of course, with pleasure, Gloria. Well, we are waiting for you all to stay tuned with those 2 specials we want to do. And so we are coming to the end of our program for this first special of all those natural products that always help us. We are inviting you to continue with our next special of all the natural products that are coming here with different topics. And so we have reached the end of our program, as we always did, to continue bringing the countryside to the city and the city to the countryside.